Here's what I wanted. I had a topic I wanted to bring up to start.
Oh boy, here he goes.
I was going to ask that in the age of what's happening in the world, if it's
the age of what age?
The age of Aquarius.
If it's still problematic to do a Watto impression, given what's happening in the world. But I don't want to talk about that. I feel the need to defend myself because right before we recorded, Nate, you started making fun of me for a personal choice that I have. And that is, I love to pee outside.
You're a free Roman pisser, and I can't. And I choose not to because I think society has chosen for me.
You can't. You can never piss outside, like even if you're in like the woods or something.
No, like in emergency situations, yeah, sure, I can piss anywhere. I'm a brave boy, but I live in a house and I have a toilet nearby.
Right.
I choose to pee in the toilet.
Yeah. No, I get that, but that's not what I don't think what we're asking here. I'm just asking if like but you don't like to ever piss outside, like even if it's kind of a private camping type situation, you don't even like that.
I mean, like, here's the thing: if I knew that I wasn't ever gonna get caught, like, yeah, I would pee outside more. Like, if I knew it wasn't like morally wrong to like pee where like people stand. Yeah,
is it morally wrong to pee where someone stands?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I don't want to stand in piss.
If they're standing there, yeah, but I think if no one's there, it's fine.
I agree. Especially if it's like grass. Like, yes, if you like piss on pavement, like let's say you piss on pavement at a bus stop where you're like reasonably sure that soon enough someone might step in that puddle of piss, then I agree with you. But if you're just like pissing on grass that someone might stand on, I got no issue with that.
See,
but like, here's the thing: repeatedly over years, you peed in the same spot and the grass has died.
He's making fun of what I call my piss patch.
I see. So you actually you piss outside regularly.
I love it. I love the feel of the wind hitting my everything.
Okay, it's on a schedule. Like you just go out there and they're just like, "Oh, Tyler's pissing outside again."
It's not on a schedule. I go when I have to go.
So you will go outside. So you will like eschew your toilet and you will go outside and piss on your own lawn
every time I can. Yeah.
Okay, that is a little bit. I wouldn't do that.
So we got a fenced backyard. It's fine. But he was making fun of me because I was talking about how I was jogging one night and I still had 20 minutes left to go. And I thought, well, I still got to pee. And I was passing by my house. So I ran into my front yard because here in America, people have Ring cameras and they'll kill you.
Right.
I hid behind a tree in my front yard and I peed in the grass, but I was facing the street so I could see if anyone was coming because I didn't want to accidentally expose myself to someone.
Sure.
Okay, but Tyler, the tree's right in front of like the street. Everyone's windows is open. Just go inside.
I'm not a perfect man. I just like to pee outside.
Welcome to Hate Speech.
I like to. Oh.
Yeah, shut up, John.
Oh, this is my kind of jam.
Once the taste is on your tongue, you'll only crave.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the Hate Speech Podcast. Podcast about hating things. We should probably thank Dropping a Pop Locket for our sick theme, right?
Sick and nasty. We love it.
Great theme.
We do love that.
Great theme. The very corn adjacent bass tone.
Oh, so you know what I asked for when someone's like, "Oh, can I do a theme for your podcast?" And I said, "Oh, have I got a request for you?"
They nailed it. If that was your specific request to have a corn-like bass tone, they nailed it.
They absolutely nailed it. And joining us on Hate Speech today, coming from Blocked Party, the PODKast, a new Jeopardy podcast, another one he's going to talk about later, John Cullen. Welcome to Hate Speech.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me. Thrilled to be here. Glad I did not have to read a book.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that briefly. The one thing I love about you, John, other than your mountains of work, is that you came on our last podcast about Animorphs. You read an Animorphs book. You tore that book to shreds.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. We agreed with you. Man, did they hate you for it.
Oh, really? Like the people who listen to the show?
They were so pissed off that anyone would dare besmirch their beloved book series.
The entire community hates you, John.
That's okay. I accept. Okay. This is interesting because we run into this. I would say I've run into this twice before. So I obviously, as you said off the top, I have a podcast called the PODKast, which is a podcast about nu metal with Brian Quinby from the Guys podcast. And I would say that we both love nu metal, but we also respect that it is like deeply silly and unserious. And we also have no problem if nu metal is bad saying it's bad. And there are definitely like a subset of people who are just like, nu metal is the best music that's ever been made. Everybody who made it is good. Every nu metal song is good. How dare you say that you don't like nu metal? And then I also ran into this on an Entourage podcast because there was I think it's over now, but J.R. Hickey, who used to write for, I can't even remember, BuzzFeed or something like that. He had a podcast, the Entourage podcast. And I went on a couple times, and I have the same feeling about Entourage that I do about nu metal. Like I watched it when I was younger. I liked it a lot when I was younger, but I can recognize now as an adult that it's a very flawed show and quite bad in a lot of respects. And same thing on that show. There were definitely people who were like, I can't believe, like, because I went on twice, and the second time there were people tweeting at me, like, because I was tagged in the episode post, being like, I can't believe you brought this guy back. Like, he doesn't even like the show, and this is fucking bullshit. This episode sucked. And it's like, it's the year of our Lord, like 2022 or whenever we did it. Like, who's standing for Entourage in this moment? That's just like, it's a perfect show. How dare you bring someone on that might think it's a little bit of a silly show?
I had no idea Doug Ellen had shooters in 2022. God damn.
Oh, yeah. He's got shooters everywhere. So I guess that's the thing is like, I remember you guys agreed with me that you felt bad bringing me on for that particular book because you said it was one of the worst books that you had read in the whole series.
Absolute trash. Yeah.
Okay. But there are people online who just think every Animorphs book is good no matter what.
Yes. Lots of them.
I mean, like, well, also, like, I think it goes the other way, too. Like, I'm famously, like, love one of the like worst regarded books where they go to Atlantis.
Okay.
And like it was like the right kind of stupid. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's my favorite one, actually. Unironically, I love that book because it is the right amount of stupid. And
I mean, the thesis of this podcast is that it's sometimes very healthy to hate things. So
right.
I think hating something you care for deeply, I think is a healthy way to go about things because just reverence for every goddamn thing.
Yeah. The nu metal thing is so weird too, in particular, and I'm sure it's the same with Animorphs, where it's like, you know, to say that every nu metal band is just the same and should be equally praised is crazy. Yeah. And I'm sure it's the same with Animorphs. I'm sure it's the same with like any type of like serial book series like that. Like I'm sure there's some Goosebumps books that fucking stink. And it's like, okay to say like number 57 of the 220 volumes of Goosebumps stunk. Like that's healthy to say that. It's very strange. But I do remember when I came on that show, a lot of that was because, or like a lot of people are still into Animorphs because of the furry kind of tie-in, right? So I could understand, I guess, if you feel like Animorphs are the only time that you're seen as like a furry person, I could understand, I guess, that aspect of it of like, these are all good because this is like the one media that is for me, I guess.
See, that's funny because I thought Entourage actually like also called out furry people in a very healthy.
What the fuck is this?
Yes, I love it. My bet is safe.
Oh, this means something to you, Drama?
Oh, yeah. Means you got a furry, bro.
What the fuck's a furry?
Someone who wants to fuck you like you're a stuffed animal.
I don't know. No, I would go the opposite. I think there was Entourage was very that episode is really rough to watch.
I can only imagine. So I don't remember it too much, but I will say Johnny Drama did nothing wrong.
Okay, well then you must remember it to even make that joke because
that's about as. Thinking back on it now, it's like, ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, it was straight up sexual assault. Like Johnny Drama put on a furry costume and the woman thought it was Turtle and he fucked her in the costume And yeah, it's straight up sexual assault. But
My God.
back in 2005 or whenever it aired, I think there was like probably, unfortunately, enough like disdain, or not disdain, but like the furry community would have been just like, it was seen as such a joke type of thing that like, that's just part of the joke, is like, haha, I can put on this costume and still get laid. I don't care, or whatever. But yeah, watching that episode back, because I watched Entourage in COVID in the pandemic, and watching that back, it was like, oh, this is straight up like a crime. This is a crime that he's doing right now. But in the show, it's just all played for laughs. Like, oh, turtle, grow up. You won't put on a furry costume to have sex with this woman. Like, grow up. I'll show you what a man looks like. Or it's like,
I think in that regard, Johnny Drama was right. I don't agree with the man and what he did, but I think Turtle should have been a man.
Well, it's important to express your masculinity in kind of weird ways. Like, for example, I only drink my coffee black, just straight black, just nothing in it. Because I'm a man, I'm a real man, and like if you don't have coffee flavored coffee, like you're some sort of like sub man.
I hate it.
I don't know what that is, but
first of all, there's nothing wrong with being a sub man.
yeah, let's start there.
And what about my affirming my masculinity by peeing outside, communing with nature?
I mean that's
showing my dick to a tree.
Like I would say that's not gendered. I mean, anyone can be outside. Animals be outside all the time.
You're right.
I don't know if I've ever met. A femme or someone who has a vagina that enjoys peeing outside. Like, I don't know that I've ever
wildly.
I don't know if I've ever heard that reported from anyone. Like, oh, I just love the feeling of peeing outside. I feel like it's not a similar deal.
Even my friends who backpack that are women would be like, the worst part is peeing outside.
Yeah.
God, okay. It does seem complicated. You're right. I'm doing some growth. Doing some learning.
I mean, it might be a similar thing to Tyler, where they do like the breeze on their pussy, but the logistics are much more challenging.
All I'm saying is anyone who's never tried it, give it a shot. If you're comfortable, it feels great. You will not go back.
Do you think there's anyone with a dick that has never peed outside? That seems impossible for me to fathom.
I don't know. There's probably some kid that got kept in a basement by awful parents who never got to, but
or if you like live in a city your entire life, like
what are you talking?
Like, and it's like, oh, I can't pee on the concrete, which we established is bad earlier.
Well, if you go downtown, you're out with your buds, you're gonna pee outside in an alley.
Okay, I also think like when you're a kid too, like, did you never have the like, Dad, like, you got to pull over, I have to pee. Like, I've definitely peed on the side of a highway before.
Mm-hmm. Oh no! Like as a kid, I was peeing everywhere. I peed on a dog when I was a kid. I feel bad about it to this day.
It was okay as long as the dog was turned on.
Oh yeah,
that's how that works.
Well, I mean, if you could tell that the dog was into it, then I think it's fine.
So sometimes the dog is into it, and I hate that you brought this up, and I hate even more that I'm bringing it up as well. But I have a puppy who will go outside. And when I pee, she tries to lick at my stream because she likes falling water.
Another reason not to pee outside.
I have to like turn and move away or cut the stream. Can we talk about our topic? Does it have to be about my pissing outside?
Well, I mean, like it's related because, so our topic today is.
Yeah, well, let's throw it to John. John, you hate coffee.
I hate coffee. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just a terrible beverage.
As a beverage or socially?
I hate everything about it.
Philosophically.
Yeah.
Philosophically,
right.
I hate coffee. I feel like I do, before people get too pissed off, I feel like I do have to give a little bit of backstory to this. So I really struggle with bitter things. So when I was growing up, like I really hated like certain bitter vegetables. I've never liked grapefruit. I've never liked coffee, like bitter things. And I would always joke that like my bitter taste buds were somehow like accentuated. And
nobody likes grapefruit.
Well, I think lots of people like grapefruit.
I like grapefruit.
Nobody like is just sitting like eating a grapefruit like it was an orange. Just like, this is delicious, right?
People do that for breakfast all the time. They even have spoons
as punishment,
specifically
as a diet
for
thing.
this endeavor.
As punishment, as a diet thing.
No, it's very healthy. It's good for you.
Yeah, but like that, they're doing it for health reasons, not because like delicious grapefruit.
I think grapefruit tastes good.
Yeah, I think lots of people like grapefruit, I think. But anyway, I'm just saying like so for a long time I thought this about myself. And then when I got older, I learned that this is a real thing. And it's called they call it super tasters. So it's like when one of your 4 like tongue, or I guess it's 5 if you count umami, one of your like 4 tongue regions is more accentuated than the other, because it goes the other way for me too, where there's almost nothing that's too sweet for me. So when people say like, oh, this dessert is really rich, or oh, this chocolate tastes so sweet, I do not have that experience ever. So I do think I am coming from this, people who have already turned off the pod because they're pissed that I hate coffee. I do think it is something biological within me. But that said, I think it tastes bad, smells bad, it stains your teeth, it makes your breath smell bad. It's a common first date, which sucks for someone who doesn't drink coffee. And then you have to sit there and drink it. It's hot. I hate hot beverages. I don't like soup. It's too hot. I don't care for it. And I also don't consume caffeine, and most coffee has caffeine in it. Yeah, it sucks. I've never had a good cup of coffee in my life, and I will never. So
There's less like dissect in that.
You're not cutting open his tongue.
Well, I mean, like, I get the super taster thing. I think I'm in a similar boat when it comes to sweet.
Okay,
because like they're like I'm broken in that way. Like I will just.
There are other ways
like,
you're broken
no,
too.
like as a kid, I would just take like sugar, just eat straight sugar, and just be like, delicious. I don't as an adult, not because like it's too strong, but because like society frowns upon it.
But I think if you had strong sweet taste buds, then it would be the opposite. Like you wouldn't like sweet things because everything would taste too sweet to you.
So maybe that's it. Maybe I just have a dead tongue.
I mean, maybe because you said you like black coffee. So I mean,
I do. Although, like I was lying earlier, this is a femme coffee. it's been creamed.
I'm a man, but my coffee's girl coded.
yeah, exactly. You just walk into Starbucks. You're like, hey, I don't know, give me one of them femme coffees. What's your best femme coffee? I'll take one of those.
Oh, it's lavender season at Starbucks. It's my time.
Yeah,
8 o'clock.
I mean, I like coffee though. I like the taste of coffee, but like the taste of coffee to me is a delicious treat. And I think like John, you're alone in that.
I am
like,
not alone.
Things are just flavored coffee.
I am not alone.
Like everything's
but I know
coffee.
like my wife gets so mad because she loves coffee, and I will always bring this up. I'm like, it sucks. Nobody likes it. And she's like, it's the most popular beverage in the world. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I get it. I understand that like I'm probably more of the problem, but it just like I genuinely, Nate, like to me, if I even smell it or I take like a small sip of it, it genuinely mystifies me that people like it. Like it literally blows my fucking mind that people like it. Like to me, it tastes that bad. Where I'm like, how do billions of people in the world like this thing?
So I dug up some coffee facts. So this is a good time to interject a coffee fact, which is that
Please.
it is the second most traded agricultural product ever.
And I want to counterbalance your coffee fact that you have, because
you sound so judgmental.
I started to interrogate my own relationship with coffee and if I liked it or disliked it. And I'm coming, I'll just say this. Half the people who harvest coffee live below the global poverty line. Do with that with what you will.
It doesn't affect the taste.
That's actually, I'd like to take back everything I said. It has nothing to do with the taste. This is actually a protest for me. Most of the people who, I don't know if you know the conditions under which most people harvest coffee, but it's really bad, and I just can't support
I do know
that.
the conditions
All right,
now.
fine. I wasn't going to break that seal. I wasn't going to open it up until later, but now that you've done it.
I was waiting for you to get mad at John for being anti-coffee, and I was going to be like, hey, did you know that a lot of coffee farmers wrangle their children into meeting their coffee farming quotas because we've engineered a type of bean that can grow without shade that adds more pesticides to the world?
Yeah, I did know that. Let me enjoy my coffee. I'm a monster. I know it. It tastes good.
I mean, we all are, but we're all, I mean, you can't if you know where we live and stuff, it's hard to say. It's hard to really like, you know, go too far on that because it's like all of us are doing something where all of us are not ethically consuming, you know, whatever it happens to be. So, you know, I can't really put you on blast on that as much as I would love to be just sort of dishonest and put you on blast for that fact.
John, I give you permission to put him on blast for that.
Okay, Nate, it's all your fault. If you didn't drink coffee, everything would be different.
You're that kid they keep under the town to beat so they have a good harvest.
Oh, I'm little Johnny Amadeus. Yeah. I am that kid. You're right. And I mean, like, here's the thing. If I had the lever of like, okay, either I get coffee or nobody gets coffee, I would pull the nobody gets coffee lever because I'm not a monster.
Okay, interesting. All right, so I'm already starting to turn you guys onto my side, which is important. I just think now, okay, Nate, answer me this. You love coffee. It sounds like Tyler's maybe ambivalent, even though he is drinking. It may not be a coffee.
He has a coffee every day.
Okay,
every day. And I'll tell you why when John's
you're
done.
Also, you work, well, you're a nurse. You work at a hospital. I'm sure you work long shifts and coffee is necessary. But Nate, answer me this, you know, someone who drinks black coffee, so I assume genuinely loves the taste. The first time you had coffee, did you like it?
Okay, so the first time I had coffee, I was, I think, like 8 or 9. And my mom kept like a pitcher of leftover coffee in the fridge for later because, you know, cold coffee is pretty good. I was just, it was right next to the juice container, right? And so like I mixed it up one day and I was like, oh no, coffee, blah. Spat it out, didn't like it. But then, like, you know, it kind of like wiggled its way into my brain and like, yeah, I'm probably an addict. I probably got indoctrinated to the taste of coffee. But like now I'm just like, it tastes good. Like even decaf, even removed from any sort of addictive behaviors, it's a quality flavor. It's right up there with root beer.
But, well, okay, that's insane to compare those two flavors. But
it's good together, by the way, too. If you mix root beer and coffee,
coffee and root beer is good.
It's a good drink.
I could see that being good if I liked coffee, but I don't. So keep it away from my precious root beer. But that's my point, though, is I don't know what it is. I'm just like inherently mistrusting of anything that's like an acquired taste. I don't want to acquire a taste. The first time you have a candy, you're like, this fucking rocks, dude. This is the best thing I've ever put in my mouth. It's like coffee, beer, like most alcohol in general. Like I don't drink either. I don't drink alcohol either. So I just think like I've never felt like I needed to push to acquire a taste for something.
Broccoli?
I don't know what
You're
it is.
Oh, no, broccoli's not for me. Sorry. If I have to learn to like broccoli.
I always liked broccoli, actually. That's weirdly like one of the vegetables I always liked when I was a kid. I'm very picky eater, I think, again, to do with my bitter super tasters, but broccoli, for whatever reason, always liked it.
Brussels sprouts. Like
that was later in life, but I don't think I tried them until I was like 25 because my parents don't like them, so they never made them at home. So I was lucky in that the first time I ever had Brussels sprouts was like at a restaurant where they sear them in a cast iron pan with like balsamic vinaigrette and bacon or whatever. And then I'm like, oh, Brussels sprouts. Why do people not like these? These are delicious.
I still think it's an indoctrination though. Like you got tricked a little bit with the Brussels sprouts. And I think like that happens with coffee too. It's like, oh, you get the Frappuccino first. And then you're kind of like, okay, this tastes good. And then you start. Yeah.
No, I get that part of it, but I just feel like nobody has their first cup of coffee and they're like, what a delicious flavor profile.
Dogs love coffee right off the bat. They'll just go for it. Dogs, like I had a dog growing up that was like just sneaking coffee every morning from my mom's cup, you know, just like climb up on the table and start drinking it and then leave. And it was a secret I kept for as a goof for a long time.
Is this the same dog you peed on?
Yeah, that was Yentl. Yeah, like a tiny like poodle-ish dog.
Maybe it.
I like the idea that your dog, when you were a kid, drank coffee, and so you're like, yeah, it's a known fact. Dogs love coffee.
I mean,
and everybody knows this.
I don't think it was unique to that dog though. Like, you know, write us in. Dogs love coffee? Question mark.
Yeah, feed your dog some coffee and see what it does.
It can't be that bad for it.
Yeah, historically, dogs have never had digestive issues about anything.
Goats love coffee. That's how coffee was discovered, by the way, is that goats would eat the coffee beans and get all jittery and jumpy. So goats, I guess like we should keep this to humans, maybe, as far as like taste goes.
Well, isn't there? What's the animal that they feed coffee to, and then the animal shits it out, and then that's supposed to be really good?
Isn't that
coffee?
civets?
That's the civet,
Yeah.
the civet coffee.
Okay.
I will never eat the shit coffee.
No,
No.
why not?
I don't think food gets better when it's been digested by something first.
Tell that to a baby koala. They do that.
They do not speak English.
All right, that's fine. I mean, like,
Yeah, because they're Australian.
just get over your hang up. Sometimes the body, like we eat honey all the time. That's just bee vomit. Civet coffee is pretty much the same thing.
I don't know if I would describe honey as.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, they rub more than just their mouths on it. There's some
No.
cum in there too.
no, like they do stuff to it.
Sure. The world is a mysterious place and lots of stuff happens and we don't understand it. I'm with you on that.
Who am I to say that, I shouldn't eat like cat shit coffee?
I say you shouldn't. And my feeling of coffee is I realized this week I don't really care about the taste. It's more about the ritual for me
Really?
of getting up every
Right.
day, making, like, grabbing. Because if it were about the taste, I wouldn't have the IHOP buttery pancake coffee in the freezer that I make from time to time. With this like tastes like plastic syrup.
I'm okay. Yes, I agree with you on that. Like the synthetic maple flavoring that they put into anything,
It's bad.
does taste like poison.
It's not good, but there's something about getting up, making that, and slowly sipping it on the way to work. And I became a coffee lover when I started working at nighttime because where I was working anytime at night, all we had was shit coffee. And so we'd all just have a piece of shit coffee and it became a bonding ritual between me and other people. And I like that as a ritual. And then when I started to think about that, that's why I hate coffee people, because it becomes a ritual about taste and how their tastes and their methods are so meticulous and thought out that it becomes a part of their personality. And I hate that. Like, I like a nice, well-roasted cup of coffee from a premium coffee shop. Sure.
It sounds like you don't. It sounds like there's some vitriol in that.
I do have some vitriol for any sort of pretension when it comes to things.
Okay.
And I think there is a lot of that with coffee culture as well. They're
So-
snooty. They're snooty.
I do think there is, and it's not everybody, but I do agree that I think there is a level of pretension that can come with coffee consumption. And again,
Right.
not for everybody, but it does allow for that. There's actually a coffee place here in Calgary where I live, and I think it's called like the luxury barista experience or something. I don't know. We were out and my wife really wanted an afternoon coffee. So we went in there and it took them like 15 minutes to make her a fucking coffee. And like the guy was wearing like a bow tie and a vest and like a Johnny cap. and he was just like, it was so unreal. Like this one woman was making the coffee and then he would come over and taste it with a spoon and then be like, no, that's not right. You got to do something else to it, whatever. And my wife was just like, I just want a coffee. And then they were also mad at her that she was getting it to go. Like we've never been in this place before. So we didn't even know what it was. It just like we walked by it. She's like, oh great. I want to get a coffee. And then they were like, well, we really recommend that you stay here and drink the coffee because the paper cup changes the complexion of the flavor. And it was just like, this place should be burned to the ground. This is a nightmare.
I think God was right to abandon us. Like, to turn his love away from us and let us die on the vine. I think
Then me and the devil are going to have some good coffee, a good cup of Joe. I mean,
nothing sounds worse to me than that experience.
okay, I'm of two minds of this. Don't dress up your employees like they were dolls. Like don't make them wear a bow tie.
I'm
That's
not
mean.
even certain they're being like, you work at a place like that because that's where you want to work.
Oh, they
That's-
want to dress up like that.
I think at a boutique place like that, yeah, probably.
I'm just saying, like, let them free to choose.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
if there was another person there wearing like a hoodie and just like I'm just here to work, like then it'd be okay.
No, they were all
Yeah,
dressed up. Everybody was dressed up well. Not all of them had a bow tie. He was, I guess, the like sommelier or whatever the equivalent is.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, but like at the same time, though, I kind of appreciate like somebody's like, you know, I want to take this valuable resource, this coffee bean that we're destroying the environment for, and we're sending like we're using child slaves to grow. And I want to like actually get the most we can out of it and give it, you know, make a good cup of coffee instead of like just like churning it into like absolute nasty home, like, you know, a percolator coffee or whatever.
I'm coming around the bend on hating coffee because something just happened to me that happens from time to time. So I got to thank you, John, for putting this thought in my head. The next time I've got my hand in another human being's asshole and I'm cleaning up their piss and shit and vomit, I'm going to remember that there are people out there that make their living tasting coffee.
Yeah.
And I am so far removed from that, I'm just going to start seething.
They might make more than you.
Probably do. They probably have more social cachet. They're happier. Their back probably doesn't hurt all the time. Well, I mean, if they're working any kind of customer-facing job, I salute you.
I mean, that's
But-
I did
but-
say that I didn't like that part of the business. I didn't like the
I know,
snooty.
but it's just when you learn of something that's basically a coffee sommelier, you can't help but want to put a gun in your mouth and pull the trigger. I worked 60 hours last week. I could have been tasting coffee.
So you're just bitter because you just got off work.
Yeah, I'm kind of like the cup of coffee on this podcast. I'm bitter. John, you're right.
That's right. Thank you. I think so. I think I am right.
I mean, okay. So like, what about tea, John? Do you are you like, okay, I will never touch a cup of coffee, but tea though, delicious.
I don't mind tea. I don't drink it very often. I don't like hot liquids that I'm ingesting. So like I don't like soup or stew or chili, generally speaking, because I run very hot. My body temperature is very hot. So like when I have like a hot beverage or a soup or something like that, it makes me feel like I'm going to explode. Like I get overheated. So I'm very selective, but I don't mind. I like a tea if I've got a sore throat. I like a London fog or like a chai latte, something in that sort of range of teas. But I would say like I maybe have tea 10 to 15 times a year, maybe. I'm not like an obsessive.
I mean, I feel like that's the pipeline to coffee is that like, you know, if you can't handle coffee, if it's too strong and powerful for you.
I'm glad you brought up pipeline because I want to talk about premature ejaculation.
Excellent.
So-
Just what I wanted to talk about.
So you did your research. Nate, you always make fun of me for reading studies, and I didn't really have a good way to get to this.
I'm constantly like, oh, Tyler, stop learning.
So I read a randomized controlled trial last night.
Okay.
When I was finishing charting, I just watched a bullet be pulled out of someone's head. That's not a joke. I read this study. It's called The Effect of On-Demand Caffeine Consumption on Treating Patients with Premature Ejaculation, a double-blind randomized clinical trial. So before sex, there was two things were measured: the intravaginal ejaculation latency time and the index of sexual satisfaction.
Oh, the ISS.
That is the abbreviation used in the study, and the IELT. So what this study found was that people who had 100 milligrams of caffeine 2 hours before sex, that's 1 cup of coffee for you listeners, had longer time for sex and were more satisfied after sex. So they did not come as quick. So I guess my question is, John, why do you hate gooners?
Well, okay, I don't think this is at all related to what I've been speaking on. But I don't. I guess I don't hate that. I don't know. I've never had an issue with PE, and I've never drank coffee in my life. So for me, if this is like a one-man study, it doesn't
Nate,
apply.
as a premature ejaculator, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's just because I'm so virile. It's
Yeah, your little guys can't wait to get out of there.
how do they measure that? Like,
How do they measure that?
I'm like, the study seems weird. Like,
so I will tell you, since you asked, because I read the whole fucking thing.
it's like, hi, we'll give you $100. Could you please fuck this machine?
No.
And there's a cup of coffee.
No, one of them was the intravaginal study. So
Cool.
Everybody involved, they measured the duration of sex,
Okay.
and the people who had caffeine had sex for longer, and they were known premature ejaculators.
See, there's so many problems with this study.
But now, can I get what's the timing we're talking? Like, are we talking about they're getting like many minutes more, or are we talking like they normally come in 30 seconds, now they're coming in
So
45?
the time
Like,
wasn't
what's our-
that much different because they're premature ejaculators. But in both the ejaculator and the person they were having sex with, the sexual satisfaction was higher. So I attribute that to being more focused from having a little caffeine rather than.
Right.
I mean, like, caffeine's a drug. Like, I think more than anything, I think I have a bad relationship with energy drinks than I do with coffee. Coffee slows me down in a way that energy drinks do not. Like, we previously had the Panera lemonade that kills you. That had I forget how many milligrams of caffeine I had.
About 400.
Okay, about 400. Right,
Yeah.
so 4 cups of coffee in that
so
thing.
crazy.
And like, those went down real smooth.
That might kill me. That might have killed me. I would have been one of the guys that it might have.
So, John, when we were drinking it, we were like, oh, I see how this killed someone. This is a joy to drink. And then I was thinking faster than my mouth could move, and I was like, num 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 num. I'm like, oh god.
And right after it, and like still to this day, I occasionally think like, I kind of want another one. So like, caffeine is like actually addicting. It's not like, oh, I'm mentally addicted to caffeine, like those weak addictions,
Well,
like gambling.
the healthcare worker in me has to say, you become dependent on caffeine. It does not set off the same pleasure centers as, say, cocaine or heroin and stuff. So caffeine is considered something you become dependent on. Let's not shame our addict
La-di-da.
friends.
La-di-da is why I say that.
Well, I know for me, like, so I should say, like, I used to be a big caffeine guy, but my caffeine vehicle was Coca-Cola. So like when I was in university and stuff, like if I was really, really tired, I would have a Coke with breakfast. But that wasn't like every day, but that, if I was really hurting, I would do that. But I would generally have 2 or 3 Cokes a day. And then I eventually just quit. And so I haven't really had caffeine consistently for over a decade. And it is really remarkable how much it affects your body when you don't have it. Like if I have just a little bit of caffeine, like if I have a can of Coke, I am fucking zooming. I am like, and that's not even that much caffeine. I think a can of Coke is like 45 milligrams or something like that. Like it's not even equivalent to a full cup of coffee. And I am vibrant.
Yeah,
and so to me, it's like looking back and I'm going, I used to be able to be writing a paper, drink a Coke at midnight, finish the paper at 1 a.m. and go to bed, no problem. Now it's like, if I have a Coke after 5 p.m., I'm awake for an extra
your night's
hour.
ruined.
Like it's ruined. Like, so it's just crazy to think, that so many people consume so many milligrams of caffeine every day without really even noticing the effect per se. But then, when you go off it,
the withdrawal headaches are real. Like I've had to. Okay, so I'm going to talk about GERD, Mr. Nurse, who loves acid reflux. I got it real bad.
What do you mean? I don't love diseases because I'm a nurse.
Yeah, you work at the disease store.
I'm sitting in nursing school classes with writing a heart around cancer. It's not how it works.
I thought that's why you liked it.
Yeah. Oh, I love becoming an encyclopedia of human misery. This is great.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I'm learning. But like, so like I have acid reflux real bad to the point where I'm like, oh man, I should talk to a doctor. And so like as a way to, because I don't have insurance, to not talk to a doctor, I'm like, I need to cut out the things that could be contributing, including coffee, which is known for causing real bad acid reflux, unrelated to caffeine too. Mr. Study Man. I did studies too. I read studies. I didn't do them.
Just another reason why coffee's bad. It's not even the caffeine. It causes you pain.
It is an
regardless.
acid. Yeah, it's bad for you.
Well, it's an acid, and also like there are other non-acidic elements that cause your gut to produce more acid. And so like, yeah, coffee's real bad for that. And like the caffeine withdrawals, like that headache is real.
Yeah,
It lasts for days for me.
Yeah, funny you should mention it. I had to get off caffeine for a surgery, and wouldn't you know it, someone who's been drinking coffee every day for 10 years had probably that many days of caffeine withdrawal, and I thought I was having a heart attack. Like, I'm in my mid-30s. I'm not the healthiest guy in the world, but I've never felt like I was dying before, and I thought I was having a heart attack. I was pale. I was sweaty. I had a headache. My chest hurt. I'm sitting at work, and I'm like, I'm just going to get through this shift. If I die at work, I'll be a legend. And then I realized, oh, I'm 4 days into no caffeine after a lifetime of caffeine. I figured it out. And then I realized I would never be a legend.
It's such a casual addiction.
Yeah,
Like-
I
like
mean,
people-
it's encouraged. It's encouraged.
But the thing is, it's not a problem. Like, like I think like there's so many people that are wanting to attribute like, coffee and caffeine addiction to like being bad, so, like have some sort of really serious negative health effects. And it really doesn't.
No, I'm not stealing my mom's TV to sell it for coffee. You're right.
Yeah. It's a bad TV. You wouldn't get much out of it. It's like, it's a tube.
You hate my parents. It's fine.
I just, like they have old stuff. That's all I'm saying.
They're old.
Yeah. They'll have a heart attack.
Yeah, probably.
But, like it's okay. So here, I'm going to start off with more facts here. Cause like I spent like a good 3 hours watching the dumbest YouTube videos. Like I'm doing research.
Yeah, that's how you can explain that. You were doing research.
I mean, yeah. So, okay. Like coffee is like almonds in that it is one of those crops that like is really water greedy. Like it needs tons of water.
Mm-hmm.
It needs like here, I wrote it down. Let me go to my notes. 140 liters for 1 cup of coffee, brewed coffee. 140 liters of water for 1 cup of brewed coffee.
And this is a thing you love.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay. Continue.
that's it.
Oh. Well,
That's the fact.
I don't like I don't like to do this often, but let me speak for John for just a moment and say it tastes bad and it sucks and you suck for drinking it.
No, it doesn't taste bad. You like the taste.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm teaming up with John.
You just want to be on his side.
I don't.
It's a moral like
I interrogated my feelings and it's like, yeah, sometimes it tastes good, but sometimes it tastes real fucking bad.
okay. So like tiramisu, a nice coffee dessert. You're like, get it out here.
Oh, that's the worst. We haven't even got to coffee flavored desserts. Get the fuck out of my shit.
Why?
I cannot stand when like a chocolate dessert will be like espresso flake or whatever. It's like, it ruins the whole thing for me. I can't have it.
I'm going to do another piece of
Hate it.
John defending right now.
Okay.
Because I can hear our listeners being like, he doesn't even like tiramisu. They all talk like that.
I was thinking that.
Here's the thing.
Terrible dessert.
John, you have this visceral hatred of coffee and coffee flavored everything. And not 10 minutes ago, you said you went with your wife into this den of evil that you hate because it's something that she likes. John, good person, defended. He's right.
That doesn't mean he's right about coffee.
I'm just a wife guy, I go wherever she wants to go.
If you could ever stomach coffee 2 hours before intercourse, you could really have something going.
It's really defending coffee as being like a strong masculine drink that
I
only.
guess. See, that's the thing. Some people in the
True.
study took caffeine pills.
Yeah. Okay. Cheating. That's what I say. I mean,
I can drink a Coca-Cola. Could put down a Red Bull and then go to
Your
work.
wife sees you drinking a Coke and she's like, oh, I know what's happening tonight.
Oh, okay. Looks like somebody wants to go a few seconds longer.
another fun coffee fact
True,
is like
God.
it's one of those fruits, because it is a fruit, that you have to harvest by hand, and it has to be hand picked and hand sorted.
Yep.
Because they don't all ripen at the same time. Right. So like, if you're working on a coffee farm, like you're having to go up there every day to pull out the ripe beans and leaving everything else up. Sounds awful. Nasty crop. We don't like it.
Again, a thing you love.
But like, I do have good news for you though.
Yeah.
They're saying around 2050, the coffee crop is going to be about half of what it is currently because of global warming. So this problem's going to solve itself. Congratulations. You both win, even though you like coffee, Tyler.
Yeah. I'm glad that
That's right.
John and I will be high-fiving getting cooked by 130-degree temperatures, saying no more of this bullshit.
Wow.
I'll be blaming all the coffee drinkers. So I'll be like, that's why we're here. 150 liters of water per cup. I'll be like 70 years old, and that'll be the only thing I remember about the thousands of podcast episodes we did. I'll be like, this is for everybody who enjoyed tiramisu or a cup of coffee or a frappuccino or anything. Of
I love a good affogato. That's the ice cream with coffee, the espresso shot on it.
That's fuck off. That's
there was even a point in my life where I was getting shots in the dark. Do you know what?
Yeah,
that's a shot of espresso in a coffee.
what the hell?
So you get like super coffee.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I know, like anyone I ever know who's worked at a coffee shop has like just a trail of disgusting caffeine habits in their past. Like no one has ever worked at a coffee shop and is like, yeah, I drink 1 brewed cup of coffee a day. It's always like, well, I would first get to work and then I would drink 4 shots of espresso. And then halfway through my shift, I would have another, whatever fucking Americano with 2 double pumps of this and that. And it's like, holy moly, get your shit in line. You would think working at a coffee shop would make you want to have it less.
No, but
more.
it is a drug because that sounds like a bartender and like, like their drinking habits, right? Like, or like any college student.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, no, I can drink 10 beers and not even feel it. Like I have a coffee, like I don't anymore, but like there's a point in my life where I was having a coffee right before bed.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it doesn't have that effect on me. And it still kind of doesn't. Like I'm still have the coffee resistance, right? Like
How many coffees a day do you have, Nate?
Less now. Like I'm trying because like I need to get my acid reflux under control because I'm an old man. But like
Sure.
I don't know, 10 years ago I would say I would have like a pot.
Damn.
Like a full one? I don't know how many liters that is.
How many cups is that? Like 4?
Okay, so like my cup would hold 2 cups. Because like you get the big mug.
He had a big mug.
Right. Okay, how many big mugs?
I would say it's at least like 3 to 4 big mugs.
Oh my God.
Like,
holy
it was an all-day
shit.
drink. Like I would make the big pot of coffee and then like this is gonna be the thing I drink all day. And like that's not uncommon. I'm not the only one that does that.
No, that's
it's
definitely
not
not uncommon for sure. I've worked with lots of people who it's just all day, every day they're drinking coffee. And I just like, my wife will do 2 a day usually. She does like obviously 1 when you wake up, a mug when you wake up, and then she'll do an iced coffee usually in the middle of the day because she bought a coffee maker that makes iced coffee. And that's like her kind of routine. And even that seems like a lot to me, but I know people where it's just like I start in the morning and I don't stop.
But like here's the question: is there anything wrong with that? There's something wrong with that?
Lots.
Like what? What's wrong with that?
With drinking coffee all day every day? Acid reflux, bad breath, stained teeth, smells bad, tastes bad. Do I need I go on?
Yeah, like what if? But like I'm okay with that. Like you know what? I'll have a mint. I'll brush my teeth.
I mean,
2 of those problems solved.
I guess it depends on how comfortable you are being dependent on something outside of yourself.
Oh, I eat food and drink water.
Well, that's for sustenance. You do not need coffee or caffeine. John's a living testament to that.
I'm very dependent on food and water.
Yeah.
Sure.
I would say
Classic.
everybody listening probably a real food and water head.
Yeah, exactly.
But coffee, no. I used to be like Nate. I would drink a lot of coffee. Maybe not that much coffee because I'm better than you. I'm continuing this trend of being better than you. I have weaned myself onto 1 cup of coffee a day, unless it's a day off and I'm feeling frisky. I got things to do. I got to go see my girlfriend. Normal things. Not a premature ejaculator.
No, you got at least a couple seconds.
Well, I was going to say, Nate, like when you're drinking that much coffee, I mean, you must have just been having
days,
some marathon sessions. You were just Yeah.
Tens of minutes.
No, see, John, you're under the incorrect assumption. When I was drinking that much coffee, I was not having anything. I was just sitting there vibrating.
And do we wonder if there's a correlation between you drinking tons of coffee and not getting laid?
You know, like a study should be done.
Yes, you should be studied. I hope you die first, because I am going to cut open your brain and look at it.
You know how relieved I would be if that was my only problem back then? I was like, oh, it's the coffee. That was the problem.
I just imagine you like going on a first date now or whatever, and they're asking you kind of about what's your dating history? Well, I was single for about 6 years, but it was mostly because I was drinking coffee. And
I mean, all my successful first
like,
dates have been coffee dates.
Yeah, I've been on coffee dates too, but it's just like, it sucks when you go on a coffee date and you don't like coffee.
So
and you sit in a coffee shop and then your clothes smell like coffee after. And but I know that that's kind of like a standard first date. But I think once I got a little older, I switched it to ice cream, and then I would do ice cream first dates instead of coffee.
No, that's a great first date. Ice cream.
Yeah, I can see it. Like an ice cream. If you were near like a good parlor, sure. I don't know where you find one of those.
Well, no, not anymore.
I took her to the Dairy Queen. We had a great blizzard.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Blizzard is fucking better than a cup of coffee. Man.
One of my best first dates was an ice cream shop and then breaking into a museum.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, there you go.
Ripped my pants in the crotch, climbing the fence. Great time. Highly recommend it.
Wait, so John, during these coffee dates, though, you ordered something. It's not like you were just sitting there staring.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, I was sitting there and staring, but I was also drinking something. I would say I went through a period when I was younger, because I feel like this was less of a thing. I would get the like blended things that Starbucks would have or whatever. So you know how they'd have like the strawberries and cream blended thing, or the double chocolate chip or whatever, which they have no coffee in them, but then it's just like a sugar bomb, but it tastes amazing. So I would do that, and I feel like I didn't really get judged for that, because it was like high school. Starbucks was kind of like a newer thing then. But then when I got older, I feel like I was self-conscious about maybe ordering like a pink drink on a date or, whatever, just because we're lame men and we think that our dates would care about that. So I would get, I guess I would get like a tea maybe, or just something. I don't know. What did Starbucks? Or a hot chocolate. I guess I would do a hot chocolate.
But like, I think for me, not for you two freaks apparently, but for me, like there's something relaxing about like sitting with a coffee or just any warm beverage, I guess, and just like holding it and then it's like talking and having something hot in my hands while I'm talking to somebody. It loosens me up in a way that I don't think other beverages do. Like there's this kind of like. And like I have this relationship to smoking. I don't smoke, but I like the smell of tobacco. Like I kind of wish that I smelled like tobacco. Like I know I'm the weird one here in that one. Like people normally hate that smell, but I like the kind of smoky like smell, because it's kind of like, oh, this is cozy to me. And like coffee has that same kind of like cozy thing. And maybe it's.
Did your parents like smoke in the car when you were a kid? Like, what's the
they were secret smokers. I didn't know this until later, but they were just out back smoking and then coming back inside. Maybe that's it.
It's comforting because your mom would just ash her cigarette on your face when you were a baby, and that's what you associate with it.
The warmth of mother's love.
Yeah,
that must be it.
No, my parents are smokers, proud smokers, and I love it when drinking, but I don't like it now.
I mean, like maybe it's the addiction. Maybe it is just like, oh, my brain desires this chemical, and that's what I relate to. Right. I should never pick up any actual addiction. I might be in trouble.
I mean, I guess I should say like sitting in a coffee shop on a date is like, it's not terrible. Like I agree, you're usually in a comfy kind of chair, and there is something like laid back about it, I guess, in a way. I just wish it was a different
hot chocolate bar.
No, that actually sounds like a great idea. Okay. A hot chocolate. Come on.
I mean, I guess it's something about the ambience of like cafes specifically. Like my favorite spot in Portland is like this late night coffee shop that's out of this like house where you can go at like 2 a.m. because like there's not many places open, and then you just go there and you drink coffee and you have a piece of cake and it's good.
So you like a patisserie?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
What do you think? Should we put this on the list?
We should. So, John, we have a thing on hate speech. It's called the only way we can rank things is on a spectrum. I think that's the only respectable way to do it. So we have something called the spectrum of hate. I'm never ready for you to hit these fucking buttons.
It was too early.
Nice. I like that one too.
So we've picked two things for the ends of our spectrums. One is something that everybody can hate, and that's one, Mr. Adolf Hitler. That's the bad end.
Okay.
The other end.
Oh, is it now? Thanks for laying that out.
These days, you really got to specify.
Okay.
And on the other end, we have something that's pretty much universally loved, and we picked LeVar Burton. I don't.
Okay.
I was thinking about that. Jordy was a bit problematic.
Jordy.
Well, and he was not a good Jeopardy host.
I was going to ask your thoughts on LeVar Burton as a Jeopardy host.
Bad Jeopardy host. Unfortunately, I like LeVar Burton. You know, I grew up on Reading Rainbow and everything. I got no issue with LeVar. But yeah, he was kind of, there was this fan campaign to get him to be the host of Jeopardy. And then people got really mad when they didn't pick him. But the reality is he was quite bad at hosting. And it has sort of forever tainted my LeVar Burton experience.
I could see that because
did he want the job? Maybe it was just kind of like he felt obligated and just kind of.
Oh, he definitely wanted everybody wants the Jeopardy job. You make like $5 million a year and you work like 40 days.
See, that sounds great. And I'm not sure. I'm not a Jeopardy expert like you, but I've watched enough with a lot of the hosts. And I would say most of the hosts since Alex Trebek don't have the one thing that Alex Trebek had, and that is a warrior's heart. That guy knew exactly what to say and how to hurt people or make them cooler every single time.
Favorite type of music is something I've never heard of, but it doesn't sound like fun.
I think it's very fun. It's called nerdcore hip hop. It's
Nerdcore
hip hop. Yes. It's people who identify as nerdy, rapping about the things they love: video games, science fiction, having a hard time meeting romantic partners. It's really catchy and fun.
Losers, in other words.
Well,
I would say as Ken gets more comfortable, he's getting a lot better at that.
We needed to calibrate the spectrum. There might be somebody above LeVar, but he's a good place to start.
That's okay. I get what you're saying. I understand people's love for LeVar. I think he's a totally fine choice as the other.
And
end
he
of the
also
spectrum.
never facilitated 6 million deaths, started a world war. Normal stuff. So we'll show.
Yeah,
we'll
he definitely
we'll
didn't
show
do
you
that.
our list here. And John, when you see our list, let us know where you think coffee should go on our spectrum of hate.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
So this is kind of where we're at. And where would you put this?
Okay, so on your current list, you have the closest thing to LeVar Burton is furries, and the next closest thing is ass waxing.
Wasn't bad.
As far as being universally,
Or
loved.
at least closer to the LeVar Burton end. We're working on a huge bell curve here.
Understood. This is an early episode. I think there's simply no question coffee would, unfortunately for me, but I can understand its place. It's got to be number 2. It's got to be just below LeVar Burton and above furries. I think there's no doubt more people like coffee than furries. No offense to the furries out there, but I think it does have to go at number 2 on this list.
I disagree, and here's why. As the coffee defender, I think that furries are better for the environment than coffee is. I think that
I agree
that like there are so many better crops that could be grown instead of coffee. Like say, it could solve world hunger for actually we're done with coffee. Get rid of coffee, grow potatoes or something potato equivalent.
Hell yeah.
Right.
And guess what?
I guess I was just thinking of it from like a people love it standpoint, but you're saying that the sort of the downsides of coffee are also included.
Yeah, like if I had nobody gets to drink coffee anymore lever, I would have to pull it for moral reasons, not because I hate coffee. I love coffee, but I think that people deserve to live more than I like coffee.
Okay, so then I think coffee's got to go in between ass waxing and Mr. Beast.
I could agree with that. Also, I just learned, Nate, you got a perfect score on the trolley problem. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, I won. Well, okay. I kind of want to put it below Mr. Beast. I think
Really?
like, is this?
But most people hate who's liking Mr. Beast.
I think Mr. Beast has just slightly better social. Okay, here's the thing: is Mr. Beast's social impact worse than coffee?
Yes. What? Oh, God.
Okay, you want no? Actually, I think you're right. I think it is worse than coffee because I think he's inspiring something evil within society.
Coffee is
agree.
just
I agree.
another byproduct of our overconsumption and bad impulse control, whereas Mr. Beast is actively evil. He has child slaves farming chocolate.
That's the thing they have in common. They both use child slavery.
Exactly. That's the other thing for sure. Yeah, now maybe pre-Feastables Mr. Beast, we maybe could have discussed him being ahead of coffee, but unfortunately now that he's entered the chocolate game, I think there's no
And the fact
debate.
that his Feastables account still brags, oh, it's ethically sourced.
Well, that's the other thing about Starbucks, though. Like, you know, I was ready to go off on a Starbucks rant earlier, but like Starbucks was the company that pioneered this whole like we're going to start with a fair trade program and then silently kind of change what that meant, right? And like that kind of set the blueprint for a lot of companies to do that. Like Mr. Beast didn't invent that; it was Starbucks.
Sure. Yeah, it's the classic like it's like how Phil Knight defends Nike, right? Where he kind of says like, well, if we just gave all of our sweatshop workers $20 an hour, the world economy would collapse, which is like maybe true. I don't know, but like at the same time, that's not a justification for not doing it.
But like even with the child slavery things, I think that coffee is still slightly above Mr. Beast. They're neck and neck.
They're pretty close.
Very close. But coffee also does not have the most punchable face on it.
That's true.
So that
Mr. Beast.
So coffee also has that going.
Yeah, Mr. Beast makes bad food. Coffee makes good food. So or drink, I guess in this case.
Drink and food. It can.
Yeah.
No, it's not for everybody. I'm going to defend John's tongue one more time.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Defend his weird cat tongue that can't handle heat.
Please.
I don't know if he has a cat tongue. I don't know if he.
I mean, like,
I'm just saying. I think for someone who hates coffee, I think John has a very reasonable reason in that I think it tastes bad and it makes me feel bad. I think that's the normal response.
I was like, what if that's his argument. He doesn't like it. How do I argue against that? I don't have an argument against that. Really.
Your argument would be your body sucks. Shut up.
Yeah, that's the
what it
argument.
was.
Your argument is, well, I do like it.
Get born better next time.
That's really the
Cullen.
way you can. Yeah, exactly.
One thing I'd like to point out, though, is I think small talk's being done dirty on this list. It is a.
I agree completely.
We're not going to recalibrate it
below John Krasinski and Mr. Beast.
We're not going to recalibrate it. Like it is pretty bad.
Our argument. No,
Sorry,
you go ahead, John.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I'm actually, there's a comedian who has a joke about this. It's a local comedian here in Calgary. I wish I could remember who it is, but they're, who is it?
Well, to me, it's one John Cullen.
It's not me. It's not my joke. But just like the idea of, people who hate small talk, it's like, what's the alternative? Big talk? Like, is that what you want to do, like, at work with someone you don't know? Would you rather be like, hey, that sucks, it's raining out, or like, hey, my dad died and I hate my life, or like, small talk serves a purpose. It's like an effective thing to, it's like an effective social tool. I don't think small talk
was
is
my argument as well.
Well, here's the thing, though. This list is scientifically proven. It has been locked in place.
Sure.
There's no change in it.
We're collecting data. We've not analyzed the data.
No, it's just like somehow it's that deep down on the list. It's number 7. So congratulations to our new number 4, coffee. With 1 being the best. We need to find out. Right? This is getting overly complicated now, but it's fine. So
I like it.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on coffee?
Yeah,
Sucks.
we'll let John have the last word on coffee.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks and it's bad, and I only say that because I really, really, really care about the environment, and I'm an ethical consumer. And
That's brave of you.
it's just so sad to see what our world has come to.
Yup. Tell him.
Me, I'm a small coward that wants the world to burn.
Yeah, but you come 10 seconds later.
That's right.
So
You get to live longer in an awful or fuck longer in an awful world.
I'm more likely to reproduce, which is not true, actually. I'm not married, so it's like,
John, you have a new project coming out.
I do, yes. It's a podcast about curling. I used to be a semi-professional curler, and about 9 years ago, there was a scandal in curling that, of course, we called Broomgate. And so that is also the name of the podcast. It's a 6-episode narrative podcast series. I've been working on it with a great team from both NBC and CBC. It comes out on CBC Podcasts Monday, May 6th. The trailer is out now. So if you want to go and check out the trailer, and if it piques your interest, it's a really great human story. Everybody loves niche sports drama. You don't have to like sports or like curling to like this podcast, I don't think. It's a really interesting story about how the sport was brought to its knees by a new broom, and it's just a really fun and funny story, and I think people will really like it. So yeah, check it out. Broomgate, a curling scandal.
I have a related question with relating to both coffee and curling. I'm bringing them together. Coffee has been regulated in some increasing amount of sports. There's a better way to say that sentence. It's okay.
But we're not going to say it here.
Is that coffee's being regulated as a doping mechanism, right? Because basketball, it is a doping drug. It is a performance enhancer.
It increases concentration, mental awareness. Yeah.
Right. And it's being regulated because some people don't like coffee. So John, in curling, are there moves to regulate caffeine? Would caffeine be a performance enhancing drug in curling, or is it just such a weird sport that you
curling
really can't?
follows the same anti-doping as any other Olympic sport. So if you are if you're in the testing pool for curling, you are being tested at the WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency level. So if caffeine is on that list, or a certain threshold of caffeine is on that list, then it would also count.
Okay, but it might give you an edge though. So as a semi-professional curler, maybe you should reconsider coffee.
Well, I could just have another caffeine distribution method. I don't need to.
Maybe it's the heat of the coffee.
Stop trying to get him to do something he hates, you fucking dick.
Yeah. Stop trying to make coffee happen. It's not going to happen.
All right.
Me.
On that note, I think we should boogie.
Well, let John plug his other stuff too. He just told us about his OJ podcast for curling. I just watched that Made in America OJ thing. So I'm
it's basically that. It's pretty much
all
exactly
in on this
that.
curling podcast. If it's anything like that, does
Hell
anyone
yeah.
get their throat cut open? Do you show that?
No one dies, unfortunately. Spoiler, but no one. Well, people do. A lot of curlers are old, so some of them have died in the last 10 years. But no deaths in the pod. But I do. I have a new Jeopardy podcast as well. If you're a fan of the show Jeopardy, it's called What is a Jeopardy Podcast? It's myself and comedian and writer Emily Heller. It's been an absolute blast. It's just a weekly comedy recap podcast of Jeopardy. People have really been liking it, so you can check that out. And then, as you said off the top, Blocked Party is my sort of main regular podcast. It's been going for almost 6 years with Stefan Heck, or over 6 years, I should say, with Stefan Heck. We bring on a guest every week to talk about a time they got blocked on social media. And if you're a new metal fan, myself and Brian have the PODKast. That's once a month, and we review a classic new metal album. If you don't know what new metal is, think Korn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, Slipknot, System of a Down, those types of bands. And it's also a lot of fun, and Brian's just one of the funniest people out there. So so check all of that out. And if all of that was too confusing to remember, you can just follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Cullen the Comic, and I'll be posting about all my stuff.
Yeah, definitely go give go give Broomgate a listen. Nate, get the bleeps ready because I'm going to say something actionable.
I don't have any bleeps.
If you don't listen to that podcast, I will come to your house and I'll kill you.
Beep.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's about time. I've been guesting on a lot of podcasts lately to get the word out, and it's about time someone threatened.
Well, I
their
had this
listeners.
thought right
So
around
thank
the
you.
time you were talking about Doug Ellen. I was like, I'm gonna be John Shooter for Broomgate.
Please, thank you. I need a shooter so bad, man. Thank you so much.
And once you're done with all those things, you can find our Patreon
Oh,
at
yeah.
patreon.com.
Yeah,
or
we got
Patreon / Patreon.
Patreon.com/Hatreon. I really wish I knew that was a white supremacist website before I named it Hatreon, but I'm glad that got
No, we're
canceled.
gonna overtake it. Actually, we're like the spoiler vote of Patreon.
Yes.
Yeah,
There you go.
we're collecting patrons who think we're racist Nazis.
They should give us their money. On that note, we will see you all next week.
I'm gonna go piss outside now.
Cool.